seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Landing Party. I'm your host, Graham Nolan, and we are at episode 53, The Ultimate Computer, on this stardate 2505.21. This was written by DC Fontana from a story by Lawrence N. Wolfe and directed by John Meredith Lucas. The Ultimate Computer is an episode that resonates as much today as it did in 1968 with its prediction of turning all of us into Captain Dunzels. This episode also predates 2001 by a few months, about a computer taking over and running everything. The story got its start as a pitch from mathematician, Star Trek fan, and wannabe screenwriter Lawrence Wolfe. He got it to Roddenberry through his friend Ray Bradbury, who Roddenberry was hoping to get to do a Star Trek. So as a courtesy to Bradbury, he read the pitch and liked it. This was an episode that took place on the ship with one main guest star, so it could be shot on time and on budget. And we all know that they love that at this point. They're not even sure they're going to get a third season. The problem they ran into was the script didn't have enough action and drama to it. They had to sit down with Wolfe, who took copious notes about the changes they wanted. But when he returned a couple weeks later with the revised script, he had moved a few commas around, but it was basically the same story. Fontana fired off a letter to Lucas about everything that was wrong. Lucas and Robert Justman agreed it needed to be rewritten, and Dorothy was the gal for the job. That's why she gets the writing credit in this episode. Lawrence wanted to have co-credit, but arbitration dictated that it went to DC Fontana for her work in it. Shakespearean actor William Marshall was brought in to play the brilliant and quirky Dr. Richard Daystrom. Evidently, he did not care for his interaction with William Shatner. He felt that he had an ego and was concerned about his image on screen with the 6'5" Marshall. Having a black character of this magnitude and gravitas on network TV in 1968 was unheard of. It's hard for us to imagine today, but Marshall commented that the other characters calling Daystrom Sir was huge. That, my friends, is our captain's log for today. Let's bring in the rest of the team. We have the gorgeous, that Star Trek girl.
Thank you. Hello.
The not so gorgeous M1 through 5 Lopresti.
Blackula and
the hideous M6.
The gorgeous M6.
The beautiful M6. You are great.
I'm gorgeous.
The gorgeous M6.
The gorgeous M6.
The gorgeous M6.
The new M6 has my engrams on it, and it's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
Well, what do you guys think about this episode? This is one of those ones where if it's on, I'll watch it every time. And part of it is because of William Marshall.
He does a really nice job in this episode. I mean, he took it very seriously.
Now, who didn't think of Ron when Kirk, Spock,
I can't
McCoy,
wait to hear where this goes.
When Kirk, Spock, and McCoy meet Daystrom for the first time, and McCoy starts spouting off shit, and Daystrom's like, who is this? He actually said the same way you do.
Who's he?
Who's he?
Who's this? Who's he?
Who's he?
I almost lost my shit today when I was watching that episode.
He didn't even look at me. Like, he's literally standing 10 feet away, pointing at me, like, not looking at me.
It's funny that you brought up like his intimidation by a 6'5" dude, because it's like you don't realize how little all these guys are until they're next to one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And did you notice that a lot of the times, like Shatner was standing behind things?
Yes.
In this episode, like when Commodore Wesley comes on board, he walks around the transporter thing to have this barrier between them as they're talking. It was odd blocking.
Maybe because there's little elevation platforms where he could appear taller or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's what I'm
why he
thinking.
didn't like you, Ron, is because you're tall.
Could be. Well, I definitely got this sense like he probably does get. He is very tiny. I didn't realize how small he was, and he probably has walked around his whole life feeling like everybody's bigger than him. You know, maybe that's why.
Maybe that's where so that ego comes
You
from,
have
like
a
a
potent
small man.
sort of, you know, I have a very potent sort of masculinity that you might have been.
That's right, M6.
Right, M6. You do have a potent masculinity.
Who is this?
Non sequitur. My facts are uncoordinated.
You know, there's some interesting things that I think.
Ron. Yeah, Ron.
I didn't say it.
You guys notice how
it's
how
not
the
an
camera
episode
does a
unless
lot
you
of
say it.
following in this, like where they're walking. There's a really great sense of the space of the ship in this episode because they walk through rooms. The camera follows them in like a single take, and then they go into the engineering. I don't think we've ever seen that before.
There's nobody in there to get in the way of the camera. They didn't have anybody.
They go from inside all the way down into the. And the camera is set far back more than it normally is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see more of a whole.
That's an interesting point because the engine room did seem a lot larger in this episode than it had in the past.
I agree.
And
the sets look really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the way that the poor bastard red shirt got zapped right out of existence.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a cool effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that light just goes across and he's dust in a second.
Jeez. It just kills me how expendable they are. Like, you know, like guys got family on Earth and everything else, and that's it. It's over. It's like stepping on an ant or something.
Space is a dangerous place, Ron.
It is. It's very dangerous.
Especially for Blackula.
Anna Holocron Library Fox says, can you remind Anna to check her audio input device? Wrong mic is my guess.
It is the wrong microphone.
Wait a minute. So Anthony,
is that better?
Go ahead and say testing.
Testing. Is this better?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you let me do it. Testing. Is this better?
Do I sound like that really?
We sound just
No.
like.
Oh no.
Who is
Like
this?
you. And then there's Ron.
Ron. Oh,
Hey, Aaron, I wore this special shirt for you.
Oh, that's nice. Look at that. Where did you get that?
On Etsy.
Oh, look at that. It's cool.
Hey, it says up there, Anthony Mark, the actor who played Apollo had issues with Shatner too. I just saw it.
Could be.
What issues did he have with him?
I wore this for you, Graham.
Okay.
Monster. What is that?
There's a monster in my window.
Look at that freaking monster.
That's
Kirby,
great.
baby. Kirby.
Kirby monsters, yeah.
It's like he cut a freaking asparagus in half and
Exactly right.
He was eating dinner while he was working on the.
Yeah.
I actually have a copy of this book. It's only in a 7.0 though. It's not a not a
Slacker.
9.2. Yeah, I know. Falling off.
Yeah. Back to William Marshall.
Yeah.
He is so good in this his delivery when he starts losing his shit too. You know, I am great, you are great, you know, and he starts
20 years.
And yeah. Yeah. He's like trying to live up to his past, you know, from the Duotronic unit that he created. Now he's trying to live up to it, you know, in this
Really, my work.
Yes.
The fools, they mocked me,
Yeah.
stealing my work.
Yeah. And then when he looms, he gets up, and when he's really losing it and he's looming, it's like you really feel the height of this guy. He's like, they all look like a bunch of kids.
McCoy's like, oh, Jim, he's losing his mind, basically.
Yeah, he's about to go full on Blackula on us here.
But the best is when he gets neck pinched and his reactions.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it funny how, like, when he does those neck pinches in all these different television series, and then in the movies too, there's so many different reactions. The one that cracks me up the most is in the motion picture, where he's got the guy with the porn star mustache, and he gives this guy the neck pinch, and it's like he's having an orgasm. He's like,
oh yeah, and the guy turns right to the camera, turns right to the camera. Big moment. Well, in the book, in the novelization of it, the book, Spock walks in and he hears two people inside one of the compartments screwing. That's what that scene was originally supposed to be.
in what, in the movie?
Yeah, in the novel of it, he walks in and he hears them having sex in a.
See, I read that book and I don't remember that.
Yep.
Oh, Ron.
Surprise you.
Ron remembers all the porn scenes.
Wow. Wow.
It was the 70s, so.
No, that was the 80s, right? Or no, 70s, you're right.
Yeah, 79 when it came out, so they filmed it in like 77 or something, probably. Or 78 rather.
This episode has a really good formula for me for the episodes that I like, because and this one has depth, which a lot of the ones I like just because of the action. This has sort of like that sort of dread, or not that dread, but the suspense at the end of the ship's coming into the war games. Is it going to blow them up? Is it going to kill them? Kirk's helpless, can't do anything about it.
Daystrom!
Yeah, Daystrom!
Yeah. Now, when I was complaining about the one with the spheres where they that we just did like 2 weeks ago. What was it?
Not Obsession.
Tomorrow is yesterday.
Tomorrow is yesterday. Yeah.
Something like that.
When Kirk gives his speech about risk is hard business, and I complained about how over the top that was. In this one, he gives a little bit of a speech too, and it's so much better. He doesn't go over the top, like when he's with Bones and he talks about he wants a tall ship and I forget what the poem was.
And a star to guide it by.
Yeah.
It's a completely different feel, though. It's supposed to have a different feel. He feels you. You're talking about when he talks to Bones about being Captain Dunsel, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to play it down a little bit. Or the other one, he was trying to be, like a coach of a team.
Newt Rockney.
Yeah, but it doesn't sell.
There's some nice bits in this. I like the scene where he's talking with Bones in the corridors or walking. He goes, am I, so petty that I, am worried about losing my command or whatever? And he's like, if you have the awareness to ask yourself that question, you don't need me to answer it.
I don't think that's a petty question at all. Look at how we're dealing with that now with AI and everything. As far as, like, for instance, it replacing artists.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a serious question. Mm-hmm. Or things taking over McDonald's servers. It's not.
But look at industry. The manufacturing of cars. Robotics has taken control of that for decades now. And now with more advanced computer systems and AI, you're going to see more and more of that stuff. They're building these freaking robots that can stir salad and shuffle cards and stuff.
Yeah. That too.
Ron.
Come on, Ron.
Come on, Ron. every time I'm on freaking Instagram or X or whatever, there's always these like footage of these robots they're building of these girls. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it's so
Oh, the sex dolls.
it's
Yeah.
so disturbing. Like,
Well, they
like,
already had that in Star Trek since season 1.
They did?
Yeah, the android girls.
from iMud. No, from
Remember the one with Christine's fiance, who's also an
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What are little girls made of?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I
And
think,
they
you know
just
what? Now that
moved-
I think about it, Anna, I think you're one. She takes a sip of it.
That's news to me.
I think you're highly of advanced programming right now.
You know, Anna, the replicants are always the last to know.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That's true.
It'd be like Westworld. She takes that drink and because she can't have the liquid in the circuits. So
Huh? Yeah, I'm starting to get the picture here now. So,
who is that?
who is she?
Who is
Who is she?
It's all right, Dr. Daystrom. He has level 7 clearance.
Well, no, Kirk, answers that question so nonchalantly when he goes, who is this? And he's like, oh, I wouldn't worry about him, Dr. Daystrom. He has clearance. He says he has clearance all over the ship.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Your buddy here? Or, I mean, that was not an answer that, had any sort of merit behind it. Like you said, if he had said, oh, he has level 7 clearance, but he's like, I wouldn't worry about him. He has clearance all over the ship. He's the janitor. He's in there sweeping up all the time.
I like when Spock says, may I be of assistance? No. I can do this. Doesn't want anybody touching his baby,
I like when he admits that it was his engrams, of course. And then McCoy's like, of course.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Of course they were. I mean, I put mine on that son of a bitch too.
That's why the M6.
Well, back to the implications though of the AI, and this is why this episode's so prophetic in that way.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I mean, when you really think about the implications of like you were saying, the robots taking over the auto industry and everything else. I mean, and it takes taking over everything. Actors are going to be out of work. Low service industry is going to be out of work. The auto industry, people will be out of work. And then what do you do with all these people who have nothing to work on? They have no purpose or work to do. I mean, that's a scary prospect. The population would have to go down. The implications are really serious. So.
And what Bones says to him is like, everybody's upset when it's the other guy, but it's different when it's you, know. And that is prophetic and a truism that holds today too. When another guy loses his job because of technology, it sucks. But when it's you, it's a whole nother thing.
Yep. It was interesting too that I really thought about this when he said this line when they were hooking up the machine in that initial scene in the engineering where Daystrom's kind of like justifying the machine and saying, well, it'll free men to create and blah blah blah, and you're like, but it really doesn't. It's taking stuff away from humanity. It's not providing opportunity for humanity. It's taking stuff away, which gets back to Ron's point.
Not everybody is creative,
right?
I mean, there's creative people who work with a certain portion of their brain. That's why they're creative. But there are people who aren't. They're more business minded, or mathematic minded, or whatever. Or engineering minded, or any of those things that aren't. And I mean, you can apply some creativity in those departments, but I mean, ultimately, it's somebody.
But even the creative
missing out.
Yeah, the creative thinker isn't safe either, as you just pointed out with AI, art, and everything else. So to sit there and say this frees man up to do what? There's nothing left for him to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching. I watched this show, Secret Level, the other day, and the animation in it is just ridiculous. Like a series of, it's a anthology series. It had separate episodes, kind of like Outer Limits or Twilight Zone, whatever. But the animation is crazy, and the only way they could come up with it is if it's computer generated, obviously. But the next step to that is AI, and because it's scary already how fast it's growing and improving, and there've been a couple that it's hard to tell it is, and how long do you think it'll be before that machine that doesn't cost anything to do it other than get somebody to program it is making a whole movie with actors' faces, and it just won't be any
Well, they're
needed.
already getting stars to sign off on their like Bruce Willis has already done it. He signed off the use of mapping his face and his voice and all that kind of stuff to use in future films.
Yeah, well, they must pay him they have to pay him something. I mean,
Oh
Well,
yeah,
you have to even ask if he even knew about that decision because he's not there anymore.
Pulled a Joe Biden.
well, I mean, he's got his family around him, I think, and I think he signed this thing when he was still had some cognizance.
Mm.
Well, I mean, it is. If they're going to do it anyway, at least get some money for your family or whatever, right? I mean, because it's one of those inevitable things they're going to do, and at least you'll have that protection. And I would assume that even if you don't send off, an agreement, that if somebody wanted to make a movie with Paul Newman in it, that they would have to go through his estate, just like we have to get Karloff's likeness to do our Frankenstein T-shirt or whatever, and Universal to do the bolts. So there's going to be some protection, but it's the use of it to, say you got a presidential candidate and you can just put stuff out there that looks completely real and is completely fake, and we can still tell the difference right now. It's like Ron said, how long is it going to be before we can't tell the difference?
Right. It's getting close. It's getting some stuff is getting so good that you.
If you saw Polar Express some years back, when did that come out? Early, late.
Oh yeah, the dead eyes,
and everything. But they're getting past that. Like this thing in Secret Level, you look at the eyes now, and the eyes are starting to look more lifelike, and it's amazing. If you look at the very first Toy Story, it looks archaic now, but when that came out, it was like wow. But now it's all just very rudimentary.
They were at least smart with Toy Story that they're like, oh, we can only make plastic like looking objects. We'll just do toys.
Yeah, it was
brilliant.
smart.
Yeah.
Well,
just occurred. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ron.
I was just saying, it just occurred to me that Spock kind of already later on becomes sort of like an M5 when he has his brain removed.
And we're once again returned to Spock's brain. Brain. What is
And
brain?
he's part of the computer.
You are not Morg.
Yes,
That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it is.
I bet you that started out as a really cool idea. And then the execution of it got to the point where we're like, wait a minute, how do we explain this?
Yeah, you're right. I think it's not a bad concept.
And you know what? It's still better than The City on the Edge of Forever.
Whoa!
It's still better in the children shall.
Hey, Captain, do you believe this is a good time to eject somebody from this?
Somebody say energize.
And she's gone, just like that.
I've been booted.
It's just like M5 going, and she's gone.
I like how we switch positions like the Brady Bunch here.
Yeah, that's weird.
Story of a girl named Anna who is busy with peaches on her lap.
More like baby on my lap.
Baby peaches on her lap.
Baby peaches.
Baby peaches on her
Oh,
lap.
it's teething now. It's great.
Oh man.
Yeah, it just toughens the old nippers up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I moved on from that.
Ron.
But you know what? Every week when I have to rewatch the episode, she's right there next to me watching along. So
You're raising
you're training her right. You're training her right.
See, automatically my brain, the visual, like you said that, she's watching with you. My brain pulled the camera down to her face, and right next to her face is your nipple.
oh my God.
She's
Who's worse, Ron or Russell Hall? That's what I want to know.
That's a good
Hey,
question.
Ron.
Let's find out, because Russell's got a few.
Oh,
super
no.
chats here. Imagine if this had been the final episode, but instead of shutting itself down, N5 instantly blew up the Enterprise. Now that would have been a finale. Yes, it would.
There you go.
That's an ending. Russell also says, so it was the wet spot that showed N5. Okay, I think Russell's taking the lead from
Yeah,
him.
Ron.
Yeah,
I don't know. Russell
I
hasn't
don't
mentioned
talk
my
about-
nipples yet. So.
I don't talk about juices.
Oh,
When
my
men have no real work left to
Ron.
do, the only entrepreneurs will be women struggling to fit ever larger objects inside them to entertain idle men.
Oh my gosh. Here we go.
Oh, Russell.
Idle men.
And White Guy McGee for $2 says AI is getting too good. I don't want the AI slop.
Well, look, you know what? I like watching some of it. Like you see clips like people put together, like if the Hulk fights such and such. You see
Yeah,
them on-
yeah.
and they're cool. I mean, the way they do the Hulk, like I don't know what they call it, like Universe Hulk, and he's got green veins, like glowing, and but it's so well done. It's cool to look at. Or they do like some AI comes up with some version of Galactus.
Mhm.
It's completely different and weird looking, but it's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever saw that Instagram thing I was telling you about, that page called I can't think of it, but the guy makes these little visions of like hell and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
It's really wild.
Yeah, you did show us that.
yeah.
It's tempo vision, dead tempo visions or something it's called.
Very creepy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to look at. You
Have
feel
you guys seen those? Have you guys seen the guy that does those 1950s style trailers of modern movies? It's all AI,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
Aliens. The only problem I have with those is they're too freaking long. Like you get, he needs to they're like 5 minutes long. You're like, dude, do a minute trailer and get out of there.
Yeah.
But
they did Star Trek, and it had Spock at one point. AI interpreted Spock as this old looking dude with like weird, and his ears were like this.
And it had a hot alien chick.
But they all have hot alien chicks. That's the trademark of those, or hot chicks, period.
The problem with those things is that they're inconsistent. Like there's cool imagery, but then they don't look like they go together.
And then there's 6 fingers on things.
Yeah, someone got the wacky fingers, or the uniforms. Like they'll show Spock in 2 different sequences, but he looks completely different in both sequences.
Right.
Or he's wearing different uniforms, or some such nonsense.
Well,
did you guys all watch the CGI versions of this episode?
CGI.
I mean the redone,
the updated modern, computer.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
The opening sequence of the Enterprise heading towards that space station looks horrible.
Can you pull it up?
Here, I'll get it.
Oh, okay, yeah, Anna get it.
She's
It looks horrible. It looks plastic in that sequence.
I've always said that sometimes that I feel like looking at the before they did any of the CGI, it almost looks more real to me, because it's the murkiness of the film quality lends itself to outer space somewhat. Even the way the stars move past, they're kind of fuzzy, not fuzzy looking, but they just look murky, like space would seem, I think.
Yeah.
Now, after watching Star Trek on regular TV for decades and decades, who among us actually thought that the Enterprise was gray? I always thought it was white.
Now, I remember seeing it as blue and gray at different times.
It always looked white to me.
I gotta say, I thought gray.
Because the model kits were white.
It depended on what angle the camera, like usually when it was floating past the planet, like it was close up, like a sort of a profile, it seemed blue. But then on other, like in, let's say, the Tholian web, it was completely gray. I don't know if you remember that.
Tholian Web was one of the third season episodes.
I remember in the original series, the Enterprise always looking white, and the AMT model being white. And I thought it was to match the NASA rockets, which were white,
It was light colored blue, is what it looked like to me, with a copper, radar dish.
Yeah, I don't remember ever thinking. I know what you're saying about the model kits were white back in the day, but I don't know, everything, it all looked great.
You could spray paint them. You had to spray paint them. I had 2 or 3 of them. I spray painted them.
I have the comparison up.
Oh, okay.
Let's see it.
See, that's gray right there. That's gray.
Yeah, this looks like unfinished animation.
It kind of does for like a video game or something, right? Like
That's supposed to be a space station. It doesn't look right. It looks like Nomad with
I know.
a robot from Lost in Space's head on it.
Yeah,
I did like the angle of this shot though, where it kind of came, instead of being straight behind the Enterprise like on the original, the CGI ones where they had that kind of at an angle. I did like that approach angle, but it did have a bit of a artificial feel to it.
It just looks like people who thought, oh, we can make it better, who really didn't know what they were doing to make it better.
Well, look at how small the station is compared to the ships. Like you see, there's already a ship parked there.
Oh yeah.
And so because I know you guys aren't Next Gen fans, but if you watch the Next Generation, when they go to the space, like the stations, they're ginormous.
Well, even in the movies, they were gigantic.
If you look at the trouble with Tribbles when they go to the space station, it looks a lot bigger.
Well, that's the trouble with Tribble's space station on the left-hand side. They just use the same model.
Right. And then when they flew up to it, it got bigger and bigger. But, they never really were able to capture the scale of anything the way they can now,
Yeah. Because look at the Doomsday Machine. I mean, this thing is chewing up planets, and yet it could barely fit. Maybe one starship could barely get into the cornucopia there.
Hey, it's small but mighty.
Lucas was the first one who really got the scale.
Yeah.
I remember when you first saw that Star Destroyer's nose come into the screen, and it just kept getting bigger and kept going.
Yeah. And it just kept going and going and going. You're like, oh my God.
All these little details on the ship and stuff.
And then you watch Spaceballs, and it keeps going and going and going and going and going.
Yeah, my Spaceballs do that too.
Oh my gosh, Ron.
Ron, are you like getting inspiration from Russell today? What is going on?
No, I'm just in a frame.
One of those days.
Just in a fat frame of mind.
He's in a mood.
A fat P-H-A-T, fat frame of mind. How about Diddy?
Oh my God.
What happened with him?
That dude is completely, man, he needs to go to prison for life.
Whoa, what happened? What did I miss?
You didn't hear about all the stuff that dude did?
Today?
I'm hearing some of it, but
no, I haven't heard.
I don't know if I want to hear it, Ron.
You definitely don't want to hear it, Aaron.
Well, I've seen stuff, and you're just like, oh, that's gross. Oh, that's just sick. You're just like, and Ron's like, M6, yeah.
That is disgusting. I may joke, but I don't have that actual mindset.
Is this new information?
Well, well, go ahead, Anna. You tell him.
No, why don't you tell him?
No, well, you heard about the urination, obviously. How the dude he would hire male escorts, and he would hire them to come in and bang his girlfriend and do all kinds of sick stuff to her, like pee on her. I think there was, and he would get off to that and then rub the other guy's jizz all over his own. And he would have him rub it on his nipples and stuff. All kinds of crazy stuff too.
That I did hear.
Hey, wow. It's a good thing that's not in the 20th century.
This is a kid's show,
Well, that's why I didn't want to. You pushed me, so
I didn't push you.
All I asked was this news today.
You
Coming out today.
Who are you? People?
You all was one organism here, like the Borg.
Diddy is also connected to various people who absolutely killed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's also being accused of killing people. The latest one I heard was he was using poison, and he's the one who poisoned Jamie Foxx some years ago. Like, Jim, I don't know if you guys
Oh,
remember.
when he got sick during COVID?
He got really sick and lost weight, but it turned out he had his drink poisoned, and it was supposedly by Diddy.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, I didn't hear that. Wow.
Yeah, because he got really sick, and they said it was COVID, like a COVID or COVID vaccine reaction or something like that.
I think this is before that. He got sick before.
You think it was before COVID?
Yeah.
Oh.
I remember Jamie Foxx got sick, and he was in the hospital or something, but it turns out it was because he got poisoned in a drink by Diddy.
He's been watching too many Putin videos.
Dude's a maniac, man.
Wow, they should lock him up.
Supposedly he's bisexual too, and there's other rappers he was messing around with.
I feel like we're learning that most of the rap industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have caught Professor Daystrom doing any of that stuff.
Because he is great.
He is great. We're both great.
I'm great. You're both great.
That's what he would be saying while he's
Survive.
I'm great.
Yeah.
Now, I sat there and watched the scene where the guy who was the captain that called him Dunzel. What was the other guy's name? John Wesley. No, Wesley. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Robert Wesley.
Or Bob
Wesley.
Wesley. That's right. I knew Bob Wesley. Okay. That guy was a security officer in Devil in the Dark.
Yep.
And he was in something else too, I think, as a security officer. And it's like, now Kirk has to treat him like a superior officer. Huh?
Lieutenant Giotto.
There you go.
In Devil in the Dark.
And I wonder if, Kirk, I don't know. I was sitting there thinking, I couldn't get out of my head. I go, this was Kirk's security guard, and now Kirk is as like.
That's what I mean about the show and hiring the same actors. It's so infuriating.
Yeah.
How many millions of people exist that could take up that space, but they have to use that guy again, unless they had some kind of, contract or union contract, actors union contract, which guaranteed them.
I think it was just availability.
Well, there's too many,
and the price is right.
No excuse
that
for that.
too. That too.
Without casting call, and there'd be 100 people in an hour.
Well, next week we get the exact same thing because it's Omega Glory, and we get what's it? Is it Robert Woodward? Who played?
The guy on the whirly thing. Then the
with Dr. Noel.
Yeah. Dr. Noel. Yeah. No, the crazy guy. What was his name? Dr. Van Gelder.
Van Gelder. That's it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. He's a great actor. He's really.
I know. I love that guy.
And they have a good fight scene in that barn.
Yeah. Kirk gets his ass kicked by Tracy every time. Like, there's another guy. He's a bigger guy. He's like 6'2", something like that. And he just manhandles
big fists too. And
he gives him the karate chop, on Kirk's neck. Yeah, I mean, Kirk really always works by him.
There's got to be some like special karate they teach him in the 24th century that we don't have now.
The only reason Kirk wasn't able to beat him because he wasn't wearing that headband and the star and that,
what, Kurok?
No, the headband and when he chopped
chopped the wood in half.
He didn't have that tunic on.
Circus of the Stars. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Did you guys see the picture of him from Circus of the Stars that I sent you? Or not Circus of the Stars. What was it? Battle of the Network Stars.
Battle of the Network Stars. Yes, we had the football in his hand.
Yeah.
And,
I'll have to look for that.
Looking all Kirky.
Shit. Here, I'm gonna. I can't say it.
Journey to Babel. Here it comes.
trying to drag it over here, and I can't do it.
You gotta let Anna do the technical stuff. She's like
know.
boom, boom, and it's done.
Anna's a robot. She connects.
Anna, pull it up from our chat.
Oh, the picture.
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second.
See, it's like you can't ask everybody that does technical stuff is like under 30, and they can just do it like this. Doom, doom, doom. Us old guys are like, well, I don't get how to move this over here.
Why Elon Musk had those young kids, those young geniuses doing all the
yeah, exactly.
all that stuff.
Hey, it looks like he's stepping back, he said.
Yeah, well, he did a lot so far. I think he's probably confident that whoever he's got doing it can handle it. But
Was it this picture?
he also probably
Yeah, that's it.
He probably doesn't want to get killed either.
Oh my God.
There he is.
Oh, like they say in your
time.
century, I didn't even get your number.
I know this is Star Trek II Kirk for sure here.
Yeah. Yeah. This is TJ
That's Star
Hooker.
Trek
Kirk.
4.
What's that?
Aaron said Star Trek 2. That's Star Trek 4, the one with the whales.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Star Trek 4, the one with the whales.
Well, no,
You
I was
didn't
just
get the
saying
number?
this
You think
picture
that?
was.
Oh. Yeah.
No, I was just saying this picture looks like about Star Trek II time frame.
Era,
With the hair.
1982 or so.
Please get it off my screen.
No, he's like, who is this?
Disgusting.
What? Who is he? Why? Would you
He looks a little
compete?
too happy to be playing football there.
No, wait a minute. If you were out there, would you play flag football when he's playing with a hairpiece in? I mean, I'd be afraid to get knocked off or something.
I know, right? Maybe he had the plugs then.
Didn't that happen to him on one episode or something? I can't remember reading something that his toupee flipped up accidentally or something.
Happened to John Wayne in North to Alaska. It's on film too, where he gets punched and his hat flies up, and then the piece goes up with it.
Yeah.
Poor John.
What a terrible thing to live your life like Burt Reynolds and those guys that, they felt like they had to have hair, so they wore these rugs on their heads. And it's, what it's like when you're wearing a hat and how hot your head gets. Imagine that, a hair piece. Your skin can't breathe. It's sweaty as hell. You're worrying about the glue coming up. I mean, it would just be a worry thing. It was like, just shave your damn head, dude.
Yep. Go Picard, man.
Own it.
Well, Picard tried wearing a toupee, and they said, no, take that off.
No, they told him to put it on because Roddenberry didn't want a bald captain.
But somebody also played or joke or stole one of his hair pieces and hid it or lost it.
What, Shatner or Picard?
Yeah, one of Shatner's hair pieces went missing or something.
Well, his pieces went missing because he took them.
Yeah, he stole them, right?
Stole them. Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
He's-
and what's her name? Nichelle Nichols' hairpiece kept disappearing too.
Sure, they didn't really care about his hair pieces.
Did they do hair pieces for like Nichelle Nichols so they didn't have to do her hair every freaking episode? They could just
Probably.
put that thing on,
Probably.
save them money.
That's the same with Janice's
Yeah,
broom hairstyle.
yeah. It's like, here, just put this on, clunk. You're good to go.
I have a hair piece on.
Yeah.
It looks so natural, Ron.
Yeah, Wayne hated wearing a hairpiece and never wore it when he wasn't on camera.
It's all plugs.
I don't know. The hair transplant, can they do a good job now? I don't know.
Yeah.
What did you guys
Shatner's looks
think?
great. I think
What do you-
Shatner's looks great.
What did you guys think of the actual battle scenes between M5 and the other ships?
I couldn't understand why the other ships never seemed to fire back at the Enterprise. They just sat out there and took shots until they were destroyed.
They were.
Well, yeah, but once they started getting hit by full phasers, remember Bob Wesley goes, "What the devil is Kirk up to?" And it's like they knew. And the what was the ship that the captain got killed and the first officer got killed and the whole ship practically was dead. I can't remember the name of the ship, but it's like they didn't even fire a shot back. They're just running.
Was
What kind of starship is that? It's like, dude.
What was it? Wasn't the Potemkin? It was the Farragut, maybe, or
No, Farragut was the
Faggoret.
Excalibur.
Excalibur, Lynn Green says.
Yeah, and she would know. She's an Orion slave girl, so she's been around the universe.
Wow.
I was, you know what always bugged me about this episode, even as a kid, it used to frustrate me, was that they automatically assume, what the devil is Kirk doing? They know that the ship is hooked up to the computer. Why wouldn't they assume that that computer must be malfunctioning, not that Kirk is opening fire on them and trying to kill them?
That's a good point. That never occurred to me. Because then at the end, why did you think that, Wesley wasn't going to attack you? I knew Bob Wesley, I mean, it was an intuition, but evidently Bob Wesley didn't know Jim as well, because he thinks he's.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What is the point you're making? Somehow
that Bob Wesley, the commander, they automatically assumed that it was Kirk that was doing all this stuff when they knew that his ship was hooked up to the M5, and they didn't once assume it was the computer malfunctioning. They assumed it was Kirk.
How much information did they give them about the M5, about the other ships? It was that secret, secret of a.
Yeah, but Wesley would have known. He's the one who set the whole thing up.
Yeah, so that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't have hurt the plot at all if he'd said, "What's going on? Is that is the computer malfunctioning?" He still would have been faced with the same situation. They're getting destroyed by
they didn't have communications with the other ships, or
right. Well, he
with
the Enterprise,
blocking communications, I think,
with the Enterprise, but the other ships could communicate.
Yeah, because Wesley called off the attack.
Right.
Yeah, because
But that always bugged me. I was just like, I was so frustrated going, why are they blaming Kirk? He's not doing it. It's the computer.
Well, he's the captain of the ship.
Yeah, but
he's not in control of the ship. That's the whole point of the M5 unit, was to have a ship with nobody on it.
Yeah, the first thing I would think would be that computer's got to be malfunctioning, because Kirk wouldn't be, opening fire on his own ships trying to kill him.
Right.
That'd be the last thing that you would think. So therefore, this episode gets a 0.
I mean, either way, the Excalibur got off, so it was a serious situation. So it didn't matter one way or the other. They were going to have to take out the Enterprise if it kept doing what it was doing either way.
Right. No, I agree. It would,
or the M5.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have hurt the story to actually have them recognize.
No, I know. I agree 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Aaron,
because then, Ron, at the end of this episode, I wanted some sort of redemption for Kirk. I wanted someone to apologize to him or say, "Hey, I can't believe I doubted you." Or
I wanted someone to apologize to him.
Well, I mean, come on. They assumed he was destroying his own fleet, and then they just we're all fine. Yeah. I don't know. I wanted something. I wanted someone to admit they were wrong.
Apology, I guess. But I get your point.
Do you think these women have these problems with Merkins?
Oh God, Russell.
I don't even know what that. I don't think I want to know what that is.
You don't want to know what that is, Aaron.
No, thank you.
What are Merkins?
Ron.
Well, Ron asked.
Merkins. What are they?
They're Merkins, man. Born in the United States.
I thought it was my first thought, Americans, but obviously it's not that.
Yeah, Anna knows. Anna knows the code that she's the Russell Hall code breaker.
It's a wig for your nether regions.
Oh,
a wig?
Nether regions.
Wow.
When you've shaved it all off, but you're going out and you need a little something, you put your Merkin on.
Oh my gosh.
Who would have thought? Star Trek episode called like the Merkins of
Venice.
Of Triskelion.
Oh my God.
The trouble with Merkins.
Merkins and mayhem.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Imagine that, like people walking around and Tribbles. That was what the Tribbles did. They attached themselves to your nether regions and camouflage themselves as pubes.
Oh,
Isn't that
Wow.
what Linnea Quigley wore in Return of the Living Dead? You know,
Oh my
there's that nude scene where she's dancing in the grave and stuff. And you know, originally they shot her naked, and she had, you know, full growth
plumage.
down there. And the producer saw the rushes for it, and he says, "Oh my God, that's terrible! You know, shave it off." So she shaved it off, and that looked worse to him. So now they put this like this thing there, and maybe that's what it's called, the merkin, and it covered it, and yet still made it look nude.
Yeah,
And
anytime you
broad.
see a full frontal nudity, or at least used to, they have something there to cover it. Like even on guys, there's like most of the time it's not real.
Mm,
Yeah, like in Boogie Nights.
yeah.
You know, the end where Mark Wahlberg, you know, brings the package out. You know, that was a fake one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nosferatu, like the nude scene, like that wasn't real either.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
That
Vampires don't have peepees.
worm-infested dong he was wearing.
Yeah.
Quigley just had a blank skin patch, says Russell. Modesty patch. Boy, the things you learn on a Star Trek show, people.
It's
You know,
like
you know, you could tune in to any other Star Trek show and just
you're
talk
not going to
about
get this.
Ricky Boy.
I did not bring this up. One of you gentlemen brought this up.
Ever see that movie?
No, one of those gentlemen in the chat brought it up.
Ever see that movie with Harvey Keitel and Robert De Niro? It's one of their first movies they made, and they're both
Mean Streets.
they're getting a hand job from some chick together, and it shows everything.
Oh no!
Yeah, yeah. Harvey Keitel and Robert De Niro laying in a bed with some girl. She's giving them both a hand job at the same time.
What is this called?
I don't remember.
Oh,
It's really.
Is this before Taxi Driver?
Yeah, it was late '60s or
It's got to be Mean Streets, doesn't it?
somewhere in there. It was before that, because Mean Streets is what, you know, Taxi Driver is what made De Niro's career. It launched it, but it was before that when he was more of an unknown actor with Harvey Keitel. I mean, you pull it up, it'll probably come up.
No, I think we'll pass on that.
You want to find that scene, Anna?
No.
Oh, gosh.
Well, before we veer off into something else, how about we give some scores?
You can't get any worse than this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anna, what do you think?
I give this episode an 8.
That's a good, solid score.
It is. No, this is a good episode. I like watching it. If it's on, I'll watch it. I won't turn it off. I think he was a good villain. And it's nice to see, I don't know, somebody with like a little bit more gravitas in it up against Kirk. That's like, because he's not evil. He just, you know, was trying to get out of his own shadow.
Right.
So he's kind of like a tragic villain. So it's like you don't hate him. It's like you don't agree with him, but you see where he's coming from. So he is sympathetic, and he's not really a villain. He's just an antagonist for the episode.
Agreed.
And then there's that whole mental struggle about it. Like, oh, like, you know, people die every time we go out into space. Should we just do computers? And then I always like the end when it's Spock and McCoy having that little, you know, a little rift, and then Kirk's just there smirking. I always like that.
Yeah, that was a great touch.
Yeah, because in this episode he only lost one officer or security guard to death, and so they made a little bit of a joke, but not a big joke at the end, because they didn't, you know. I like this episode a lot too. Like I said, it has the elements that I like the suspense at the end, and the combat and everything, and you know, can they figure out, can Kirk outfox the computer once again? I'm gonna, you know what? I was thinking 7, 5, 8 on this one, and I'm gonna go with Anna, and I'm gonna go 8. So that's another one we agree on.
Mm-hmm. Ron?
I believe I would give it an 8.
Whoa.
I am 8. You are 8.
I'm 8. You are 8.
I already ate, so I'm going to give it my own score. I'm stuck between an 8 and an 8.5 on this.
I knew you were going to say that. I said he's going to come in at 8.5 or something.
Oh, you did you?
I did. Absolutely, I did. I was just thinking it actually.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with an 8.5 on it. I really like this episode.
Yeah,
So that means it's a solid 8 all the way through.
I think they did a very effective job of creating the actual the feeling of what danger that all those other ships and everything, what this whole thing was.
Yeah, the tension. The rising tension was great.
Very effective, and I think Blackula was he was a tense actor anyway, and just watching him talk, you felt tense. And it was very effective. His acting was off the hook.
Yeah,
he started losing it and getting angry, and and he was so believable.
Yeah.
Well, he's got
I
a
like
great
when he
voice,
says
so
to
you just
Kirk,
wanna
he says,
listen to him.
"Don't you really want to know why you and such and such weren't chosen for the landing party?"
McCoy.
Well,
Yeah,
let's find out anyway. I love that.
And the master of psychology too. He just sort of rips them apart.
Yeah, that was really great. Really great.
Well, there's a nice satisfying feeling too that the tables get turned because he's making Kirk look like a jackass. And then suddenly it turns out that Kirk and McCoy, of course, were both right about it the whole time. What did Kirk say? I've got a bad feeling right back here about this.
And then they hook it up to the captain's chair, and then it takes. Yeah, it was weird. Oh, he couldn't.
Well, he was supposed to have the power to turn it on and off, right?
He got overridden.
Right.
By the M5.
So, and the fact that there was,
and let's.
I was going to say the fact that there was just the small crew, and those guys are usually the ones solving the problems anyway, but they kind of felt isolated. And it's like, we got to figure out how to take this computer out. What did Kirk say? In an hour before the war games start, so they're in the big conference room, and it's down to them actually, Spock and Scotty in the Jeffries tube, working together, trying to get this thing figured out. So that had a lot of nice elements in it.
What year did 2001 come out? Because it reminds me, one or the other was influenced. Like Hal was either influenced by the M5 or
this came first.
Yeah, so
I 2001 came out like 3 months later.
Yeah, it's weird how it, because it's the same, idea. The computer, this computerized thing that can think for itself, trying to save itself.
Right.
It's interesting how scripts get loose in Hollywood and they start floating around. And suddenly everybody's worried what everybody else is doing, and you get like the same type of film or thing coming out in relatively the same amount of time because they're all trying to jump on the same thing they all think is a great idea or whatever.
It's another great thing.
How did you know so quickly that it was 3 months after you looked into it? Or
yeah,
he said that in the captain's log.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah, but you never listened to that. So
what did you say about it?
That it predated by a few months. What was cool was the scene where he refers to him as Captain Dunsel, and Kirk stiffens up and walks off, and everybody on that bridge, like even Chekhov and Ensign, he looks and he's like, "Oh boy," and except for Dr. McCoy. Dr. McCoy had no idea what that was because even in like modern military, the medical guys go to medical school. And then they do their minor military training, but the officers, they go through the academy, and so it's an academy term, so they all knew, and it was really cool how McCoy had to have it explained to him.
Mm-hmm.
I like that sequence. What does it mean, Spock? Even Chekhov knew.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of showed you that difference between the levels.
There's no useful purpose or whatever. The way Spock says. It was perfect to have Spock deliver that line.
Yeah.
So
is this Is this the first episode that Sulu and Chekhov were in together?
Mm-mm.
Because Sulu was gone forever filming Green Beret, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, he was
Yeah.
busy doing Liberace.
No, but seriously,
How ironic he was doing a John Wayne movie.
how because I'm trying because when Sulu disappeared to do the John Wayne flick, that's when Chekhov came in, right?
Well, Chekhov came in the beginning of the second season.
Right, but Sulu wasn't there, was he?
I can't remember if
Beginning?
he was in those early ones, those first couple.
Did you guys ever have homemade potato chips?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've had him.
I've been sitting there a little too long, though.
Uh-oh.
Well, so much for that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So Sulu and Chekhov were in Amok Time. So that was like one of the first. That was the first episode shown in the second season.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe just that Sulu had been gone for so long. They're like, oh look, Sulu's back with Chekhov because he was last episode. Sulu was there, but Chekhov wasn't. Was that the last episode? I think. What did we do last week?
Yeah, it might have been.
Last week was Patterns of Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just Chekhov wasn't there. I think it was just Sulu. And we had talked about whether or not maybe they didn't have anything for Chekhov to do, so they didn't want to pay him. So that's why he wasn't on the bridge. So
He reportedly told John Wayne that he hated the Green Berets movie because of the positive patriotic theme. Wayne told him to shut up and act.
Shut up and act.
Yeah.
you can. Yeah, Wayne went, who is he?
Who is this guy?
Yeah,
They think he is.
talking to the Duke.
You're not sitting on the couch.
Oh, man. All right, guys. So next week we will be talking about the Omega Glory, one of the original scripts that Roddenberry had for his pitch to NBC when he was trying to get Star Trek off the ground.
Really?
One of those mimicking America bullshit stories.
Yeah, this one's not good, but it'll be
Okay,
fun.
well, we're gonna have a problem because this is one of those novelty episodes that I really like.
Same.
The best part about it is when they zoom in on Spock's eyes, like a
Yeah.
Joe Kubert panel,
That's right, when he's like controlling that cave
Yeah.
girl or whatever.
staring, and he's like getting in her head.
Mhm.
I haven't seen this one in a while, so I'll have to rewatch it and get caught up. And I suggest everybody do their homework and you do the same. And we
Oh, I
will see you again next week, my friends. Till then, have a great one. Bye.